And here we are. You're back in Tampa, and I'm in my second floor chatting with you after eye surgery. So,
Yeah, I didn't
anyways,
know that was today.
yeah, that was today. I had to be there at 6 o'clock this morning, and I forget what
Wow.
time we got home, eight something. But yeah,
So no, wait a minute. In 2 hours, they
yes,
stuck a knife in your eye,
yeah, remove the
replaced the
cataract.
lens,
Mm-hmm. Replaced
I
lens.
mean, but
Put
they
it.
put that artificial lens in, like
Mm-hmm.
the other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
And
here you
also,
are, 4 hours later, 5 hours later, just sitting there with no sunglasses on. No,
I should
you're
be
back.
wearing the sunglasses, but I'm not. I want to talk to you. So, anyway,
Well, I mean,
yeah, here I
yeah,
am. And he put a
well,
stent
I'm a
in.
retired Secret Service agent. I think I'm used to talking to people in
Oh,
sunglasses,
yeah, I guess you are.
and especially aviators.
Well, my regular sunglasses happened to be in the car, and I was too lazy to walk out to get them. So I had my Joe Biden glasses on one of my bear fever bears in the house, and so I grabbed
I
them to
saw them.
come upstairs. Huh? Yep.
You sent me
Anyway,
that picture.
yes, that's right. I did share that picture, that photograph with you. Anyway, so you're back in Tampa. You're happy to be home. Matrix is happy to see you. Is Zach still sleeping?
Zach went to bed. He said, "Good night, love you, Dad," and he was not thrilled either because as easy as it is for him to be up all night because he's used to that,
Yeah.
he didn't get as much sleep over the
Hmm.
past throughout. I think throughout the weekend because of the different events
An activity.
that
Yeah.
yeah, that
He
kind of
seemed
kept
to.
him going and or prevented him from sleeping. He seemed to
And
have at least a good enough time yesterday.
I was going to
Do
say,
you know
it
we
looked like
talked
he and
until
Randy were having a good time.
yeah, yeah. They had good conversation and they exchanged info. They didn't exchange email or phone numbers.
They
They
didn't.
are on each other's Discord.
Oh, brother. Yeah.
And I listened to that episode. That was another thing I did at the airport was I finally listened to that episode with Randy, and he
Oh,
asks
okay.
you about Discord,
Yeah.
and you're familiar with it, and that was
Yeah.
you've heard the name. That was
I've
about
heard the
it, and
name.
that's pretty much my extent. I know that there's a lot of actually amazing things you can do with it,
Yeah.
and I'm asking Zach to teach it to me, and he's like, What, you just use it." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck does that mean? You just use it?"
It must be what they consider intuitive. So,
Yeah, and that's something else that amazes me. When I was in the Secret Service, we had this project. It was called Project Alcatraz. It was an undercover operation. Have you ever heard about how the CIA monitors terrorist chat online?
no.
You know, they have like undercover people in various dark web chat rooms, and they are pretending to be terrorists, and they're
Okay.
really CIA agents, and
Yeah.
probably, I guess is that they're probably what's called targeting officers, but whatever. Um, I did that same undercover type operation for fraud while I
Hmm.
was out in the San Francisco field office.
Hmm.
And one of the people we had working with us was a computer programmer who was hacking and doing all kinds of illegal things that our agents arrested and turned. And part of
Ooh.
his retribution from the court was a court order, you now work for the government.
And I've
And
watched enough movies and TV programs where I where there are characters that do that kind of thing. So,
yeah,
yeah.
well, when we're talking about, code and some of the stuff he can do just with his keyboard, I mean, it was fascinating. And I
Mhm.
really can't even, elaborate. I don't know, so I better not. But we would be looking at lines of code um, that make your screen the color it is now, or show the
Mhm.
green line that's moving to
Mhm.
articulate my voice or whatever. And there would be like one character off in like hundreds of characters per line,
Mhm.
and he'd find that one character and say, that
Here it
slash
is.
is the wrong direction.
Yep.
And we're like, the hell do you know that? Which class did you learn that in?
Hmm.
And he just knows.
Hmm.
That's really the only way you can explain it.
Yeah. It
And
freaks me out to think about what technology can do and does on a regular basis and what people are able to do.
yeah,
But
well, I think we're finding out. I think I told you in one of our episodes that we did together. The government has technology that's approximately 50 years ahead of what you and I are using today.
get out.
And what I mean, look at our conversation with Jeff.
Okay.
JD tried to tell me that those space aliens are us in different
Right.
form.
In different forms. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's the first time I heard that.
Well, he operates on an energy based system. So,
Yeah.
we are vehicles only for the energy that is omniscient, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Well, I mean, I get that, because I've had experiences assorted like paranormal. I keep saying
mhm.
para or normal because that's one of the shows on
Right, right,
Yergz
right,
Radio.
right,
It's a play on the word of paranormal.
right.
And um, yeah, I believe that somewhere locked inside our body is our soul that goes to
Mhm,
heaven,
mhm,
uh, and that's whether I'm Catholic or Lutheran or Protestant or
mhm,
Muslim or
mhm,
whatever. That's part of the spirituality that I have,
mhm,
and I yeah, I've had various experiences that would articulate that. Um, and as such, it helps me much more easily realize that we're probably not alone in the universe.
mhm,
Just because I haven't seen a little green man from Mars doesn't mean that they
mhm.
don't exist.
Yep, yep, yep,
And
yep. I'm with you.
I feel the same way about things like Bigfoot.
Mhm,
Who the hell am I that I have to
mhm,
see Bigfoot
mhm,
for that to be proof that there's Bigfoot?
mhm. Well, one
When
of the
there
things.
are areas that well trained scientists cannot identify as part of the animal kingdom.
Mhm.
Who the hell am I to say, nah, they're wrong. There's no such thing.
Well, one our buddy Craig, in his book, There Are More Things in Heaven and Earth, which, by the way, is a portion of from Hamlet, from Shakespeare's Hamlet. Anyway, Craig's book talks about paranormal, talks about aliens, talks about all those kinds of things you're alluding to right now.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about him, how was your conversation with him?
Good. I was glad to finally meet it because I told him that I had been. You had given me, I think, just his email months ago,
Hmm.
and I meant to reach out to him then, and got tied up with something, probably with the radio, and had been wanting to make that time to do that ever since. And I thought, well, you know what? He's in good contact with Jane.
Hmm.
Let that continue that way
Hmm.
until we see fit to do something different. I think now that um, he told me the same thing. He said, and then that it's okay that what we do is not particularly his cup of tea.
Hmm.
We knew that was going to be the case. We're not going to be for everybody.
Hmm.
So I thought maybe if I start reaching out to him as well, he'll and I don't want to exclude anybody. So
Right.
maybe he'll feel a little bit more inclusive or included, and maybe we won't lose him as a listener.
Yeah.
But if we do, then I would rather not have him and him not having the feeling of being forced to listen to our show or
Right.
watch our show whenever he gets it,
Right. 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 Right.
and
Right. Right.
um, then have him
Well, he has
feeling obligated.
submitted over a dozen essays for the Boyertown area expression, on a variety of different topics. And, his essays are interesting and fascinating. He does have a topic, a definite topic, and a direction where that essay goes. But, like this last one that he sent me yesterday was based on Robert Fulghum's book, Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten.
Oh, I
And
heard.
yeah. And that's one of my favorite chapters in that particular book is the list. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Robert Fulghum says, all I really need to know about how to live and what to do and how to be, I learned in kindergarten. Wisdom was not at the top of the graduate school mountain, but there in the sand pile at Sunday school. And these are the things I learned in kindergarten. Share everything. Play fair. Don't hit people. Put things back where you found them. Clean up your own mess. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some. And draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work some every day. Take a nap every afternoon. And when you go out into the world, watch out for traffic, hold hands, and stick together. Be aware of wonder. Remember the little seed in the styrofoam cup. The roots go down and the plant goes up, and nobody really knows how or why. But we are all like that. Goldfish and hamsters and white mice and even the little seed in the styrofoam cup, they all die. So do we. And then remember the Dick and Jane books, and the first word you learned, the biggest word of all, look. Everything you need to know is in there somewhere. The golden rule and love and basic sanitation, ecology and politics and equality and sane living. And take any one of those items and extrapolate it into sophisticated adult terms and apply it to your family life or your work or your government or your world, and it holds true and clear and firm. And think what a better world it would be if we all, the whole world, had cookies and milk about 3 o'clock every afternoon and then lay down with our blankies for a nap. Or if all governments had a basic
Yeah.
policy to always put things back where they found them and to clean up their own mess. And it's still true, no matter how old you are, when you go out into the world, it is best to hold hands and stick together. Isn't that cool? I love
Yeah.
that.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the things
Yeah.
one of the essays I used to share with my students because it's true. Anyway, thanks for the
Yeah. So,
opportunity to share one of my favorite things. So
speaking of lists,
Craig's essay was basically, why don't we behave this way? And it's so much common sense. And why don't we follow these things that we learned in kindergarten? That's what his essay was about this week. And you'll read it at some point, sometime soon. He suggested we publish it along or about December the 11th in the Boyertown area expression. So there you go. Thank you,
why that
Craig.
date?
Pardon
Why
me.
that date?
I don't know.
December 11th.
Well, he figured it was kind of a Christmassy type thing, or a New Year's resolution kind of thing, and maybe didn't want to get in the hubbub of the Christmas spirit. But that's when he suggested it might be appropriate.
Yeah. Still put it in the back of people's head.
Yeah. Carry that through the rest of the season. Carry those ideas through into the new year. So makes sense to
Right.
me.
So, so speaking of lists, I don't think we'll get
Yes.
to it today. One of the things that we do have to, and I'm kind of envisioning this being 2 episodes,
Oh,
is the list of the top 10 mistakes that we're making
oh.
according to podcast listeners. Remember that video?
Oh, yes, I do. I'm glad you brought that up. We need to do that. But before we go there, are we
Yeah.
done debriefing about yesterday? Was there anybody who
Uh,
else came that you had a chance to talk to?
uh,
Bill
Donna,
Cherkasky,
Donna Youssef, Bill Cherkasky, Donna U. Savage, Randy Renninger,
Suzanne
Suzanne
Biesecker.
B.
Yeah,
Was there somebody that came in, a guy that came in and left, or was
yeah,
that
he was.
that was Craig? He left. He left before my parents got there, or right as my parents got there, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I had a great time
uh,
talking to your parents. By the way, that was fun.
yeah. I think they enjoyed that more than they thought they would.
Good.
Um, uh, and that wasn't why they only came at the end, but uh, I just don't think they kind of knew. Dad was basically told he's going. You know, Mom never asked if he had anything
Hmm.
planned for Sunday. Uh, but I guess they just didn't really also know what any of quote unquote my events were going to be like.
Hmm.
And I don't think I told them that I can't talk politics there,
Hmm.
that, because it would jeopardize the grants that the studio has.
Hmm.
And that's not what the event was for. So that's kind of
No.
my fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I also, I forget what you said at the very beginning, but
What?
it just sounded so much like the whole event was for me.
Yes.
And I get that you know everybody there personally and have
Yes.
seen them and met them before and so on. But again, it kind of goes back to, at least for the perspective of both sides now, you don't work for me. You're
Hmm.
not my news lady, or Robin Quinn. You're my co-host.
Right.
Uh, and I was not the star, but I guess because many
Yes,
of
you
those people
were.
never saw me,
Right.
and Suzanne
Right.
Biesecker hasn't seen me in years.
Hmm.
Yeah, then I kind of get that, I guess. But
Well, she,
that
I
was
think,
fun.
came as, yeah, it was fun. And you were there as the celebrity because these people, in one way or another, have heard about you and have and or
Yeah,
have listened to both sides now, and maybe also up the middle and your daily news show. And so I wanted to give people who knew about you, had heard about you, an opportunity to meet you face to face. So yeah, you were the star.
that was awesome. Yeah. Well, thank
It
you.
was fun.
And speaking of which, I just had something in my head about that. That
About
maybe it's still on my
about you being the star.
well, that's always in my head. But um,
Oh,
uh,
to be honest,
what was it? Let me
I'm
see
going to let you
something.
think, and I'll just ramble for our audience for a minute
Just that,
until you find
yeah,
it. You
um,
good?
yeah. I mean, I got the whole list. So I mean, and we talked about going through that anyway. Um, yes, like people like Donna, um, perhaps like Donna. I mean, because she's obviously a little partisan, um,
Yes,
not necessarily equally biased, to use my correct new terminology,
I like it.
uh, but maybe as a rep coming to Yergz Radio for Boyertown Forward,
Hmm.
and just be open that it's for Boyertown Forward.
Hmm.
And here is our report on the school board.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then have Jill do some sort of at least effort of the equally biased, because she still goes and she still monitors that. I didn't know Bill Cherkowski. Am I pronouncing this right? Cherkowski?
Cherkasky.
Cherkasky. Okay.
Yep.
Uh, I didn't know that it's his students that do the filming of that.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what I want to email him about, is continue a conversation that we kind of started. I didn't really know, once you had said, and once he confirmed that there's so much he can do, especially with up the middle,
Right.
that he really actually can't do with up the
Right.
middle. um I didn't really know where to take it from there. And just from talking to him, I realized I learned that those kids, his kids, are the ones that film the school board meetings.
Mhm.
And I'm just thinking he, as far as working with, I took that and I took it into having his kids work with Yergz radio. And
Uh-huh.
one of the additional stations that I want to have someday is a student run station
Aha.
that isn't just for one university, or in this case, one high school, but multiple
Yeah.
that want to get into broadcasting.
That's so cool. And
And I would,
he
and he
mm,
said, pretty point blank that he's one man, and
mhm,
that's all that Boyertown has at the senior
mhm.
high. And I kind of remember, I think it was Charles Crummy who was the
Yes,
TV guy when I
very
was
good.
there.
Yep.
Uh, and that was no different then either. I don't know anybody else that was in his department or whatever.
Mhm.
But he said that like Spring Ford and somebody else. Um, I don't know that I have that. Yeah, I just have a note to introduce me to other schools. But Springford was one. I think he might have said maybe the other one was O&J. I don't know. But he mentioned two other schools that have multiple people in that department
No
that
kidding.
need to be. And I'm like, I would want them too, not
Yeah.
instead of.
Yep.
But there's things that I would teach or help with or
Right.
just oversee. It's like Jill said about the adoption process. I've got a top secret security clearance, and actually, I had it a little. There's no such thing as a higher than top secret security clearance, but within top secret, there's something called compartmentalization, meaning particular projects within the intelligence community of the government. And two of the projects that I was a part of was the fact that, and I can just only say it in very general terms. One, when I was on Hillary Clinton's detail when she was in the Obama administration,
Mhm.
as the Secretary of State, she received on a daily basis a document called the Presidential Daily Briefing.
Mhm.
It's something that the intelligence community puts together on, world events and
Mhm.
things that people like the president or those in line to succession need to know about the world, and they get this thing
Mhm.
every day.
Mhm.
And when they drop that off, they pick up yesterday's, so they can take that out, shred it, and burn it, and put
Mhm.
tomorrow's in, and it's just a
Mhm.
flip flop like that every day.
Mhm.
Christmas doesn't matter,
Mhm.
and to be able to pick that up from the CIA courier,
Mhm.
just to be able to carry that book that
Mhm.
I can't open because I don't have a key.
Mhm.
I have to have this. I have to be read into this program,
Mhm.
and that's all I can say because that's all I know.
Mhm.
I pick it up, I carry it in the house, I set it in a particular assigned location in the house, and I go back down into the security room. I don't say anything. She knows it's there because she received a phone call that it's on the way, or an alert or some shit that it's on the way, or that she's just expecting us to have it, by a relative certain time every day.
Mhm.
And then the other one was because once I left the detail, um, well, actually, no, I took a bigger role in the other project. The other project was because I was on her detail and she's in line for the presidency. I was part of the successor program. What happens if something happens?
Right.
And then once I left her detail and I got to the Washington field office, I'm now no longer um, I'm no longer focused on her. I'm kind of sort of focused on everybody.
Mhm.
And because I knew what she would have to do in the event of an event, some sort of catastrophic event, and we had to
Mhm.
evacuate,
Mhm.
I now had the responsibility of going to, as we said during the Dick Cheney years, an undisclosed location,
Mhm.
which was essentially a very particular location where we could land a helicopter.
Mhm.
And that location, no matter where I was, no matter what other post standing assignment I was doing,
Mhm.
if my phone went off with instructions to go there, I was to drop what I was doing and go.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter if I was, standing in front of the president himself. Something happened and his people are gonna be there too. Except, he's not gonna go to that one. I would be looking for a cabinet member, any cabinet member.
Mhm.
I would be looking for congressional leadership,
Mhm.
or maybe even the vice president, depending on where that person is, because now we have a female. Um, and I would be helping to land. I had a particular kit and so on that I can not expand on, but I would be helping to land a military helicopter that is going to have two, military officers in it, pilot and co-pilot,
Mhm.
and actually no, three, because there's a loadmaster of sorts that's going to control the passenger area, which is control that he would be turning over to me. And let's say it was Nancy Pelosi that showed up, because that's who was in for the House, when I was there. Or let's say it was Hillary, as still as Secretary of State after I left, or her replacement, John Kerry.
Mhm.
I got one. That's all I need. I don't care who's coming.
Mhm.
We got one. We're out of here.
Now, is that what you talked with Joe yesterday in reference to the adoption program? Is that
No, no. Well, that's kind of what she was alluding to, was
okay?
the fact that I had a security clearance to do shit like that, and I just can't sort of walk in and say, okay, here's my life. I think I'm going to be a pretty good parent. In
Okay.
actuality, or at least, no, it wouldn't be that so much as it would be I provide a safe environment for the child,
Yeah.
which, is kind of true. I follow him everywhere he goes through his phone, and he does
Yeah.
the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and we, in fact, here's something we did on the way home and on the way up there. After we parked my car in the very expensive parking for a week, I gave him one of the sets of keys to my car.
Mhm.
So if something happened to my gear bag,
Mhm.
we could still get home.
Mhm.
Nobody else does that.
Mhm.
But, that's 21 years of thinking about everything
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
separating things that shouldn't be together, like the president and the vice president.
Well, it's funny that you talk about keys because whenever I go anywhere with Paul and we go in the truck, I make sure to take my truck keys because that particular vehicle somehow locks itself. And I just
Yeah.
have this fear that his keys will be left somewhere or he will get out of the truck and leave it running and close the door and then it's locked. So I always try
Well,
to take keys with me. I
sorry to
would
be
be
the
good.
one up.
I would be the good a good Secret Service agent. That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Well, sorry to be the one up, but dad
That's
lost his
funny,
set of
by the
keys.
way. Oh no.
Oh, yeah. His dad lost his set of keys to mom's car, that white car that you saw everybody in
Yes.
yesterday and Saturday.
Hmm.
So now we're down to one set of keys for and that's it.
That's it.
And so everybody's panicking because her car
Hmm.
does the same thing. You shut the door and walk away, it locks. You shut the door and
Hmm.
walk away with the last set of keys in there, you are screwed.
Screwed. Yep. Now
And so,
my car won't lock if the keys are inside, but Paul's truck does.
so
So
I don't think hers does either, because we actually, when we got home one night, I forget which one, but I left. I was out. I think when Jack and I were out shopping Friday night, uh, I I left the keys in the middle console where I
mhm.
often put mine.
Mhm.
And all our she needs a chest of drawers for her middle console. That's how much shit is there. But uh, um, I left
That's
it in,
funny.
and the car didn't lock
Yeah.
because I guess it could tell that the keys were still in the car
Yeah.
and presume somebody else was still in it. Somebody's going to come back, something like that.
Yeah. It's
But
nice to have a smart car. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Smarter than we are.
yeah. Thank God.
Well, I tell you what, I think we've been going here for a while, have we?
We
You
have,
keep a
yeah,
timer.
good. Back. What did I think? I actually titled this one something already too. When I save it on Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, oh no it, or I don't know. I think I said we're back at it or back to normal or something like that.
Sounds good.
For the recording of this episode, so I have an idea where we're at. But yes, we have probably hit. We just crossed the 30-minute mark.
It was such a fun visit to have you
Yes,
around in
yes.
Boyertown. And while I know you're happy to be back, it will be nice to see you again whenever
Oh,
it is you.
absolutely. Yep. Likewise.
Yeah.
And you and Paul got a. There's some really cute small hotels in this area. Tampa,
Right.
Tampa.
We're
Uh,
familiar. Yep. Yep.
um,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
that
Yep.
if you want to get down here, let me know.
Will
Uh,
do.
it'd
Will
definitely
do.
be a
Anyway,
good time.
I'm Jane Stahl,
And I'm Yergz.
and this is
Both sides now.
Next Time, folks.
See you again.